Okay, hello everyone. I hope you all are well. This video is video number 3 discussing the essay number 3 and invention number 3 assignment sheets. You should be watching this on Monday, April 6th. Some scheduling information. We're going to have 2 peer reviews for this. So April 20th, the week of April 20th, you're going to be peer reviewing a rough draft. This should be around 2 to 3 pages. If it's a little bit less, that's okay. But don't worry too much if you don't have the draft that you're dreaming of or that you're wanting. This is really just to try to get some of those kinks out of the way and to help you write a better paper. The week of Monday, April 4th, this will be your peer review draft that's 5 to 6 pages, which should be what you think is a final draft. Okay, so rough draft, peer review, final draft, peer review. And the final draft is due Sunday, May 10th. You can find this assignment sheet under the assignments tab on Blackboard. I have the invention number 3 and essay number 3, and also, of course, the invention number 4, which is the annotated bibliography. Essay number 3 is going to be an argumentative research essay. You may have written these before in previous classes. This does not mean that you can just not watch these essays, these videos about these essays. These videos are very, very important, especially this video about annotated bibliography, and the video about argument. So I'm not going to talk an extreme about argument. I'm going to talk a little bit about binary. But please watch the video about argument, which is video number 5, parts A and B, more about argument and when I'm discussing this video. So it's an argumentative research paper. This is worth 250 points, so 25% of your grade. It's also 5 to 6 pages. So this is the last major project we're doing. So for essay number 3, you're going to choose your own topic and write an argumentative research essay. This topic, I'm giving you the freedom to choose almost to an extent of whatever topic you want. So I've had students write about climate change before. I've had students write about service animals. I've had students write about parents and how colleges and universities help and or hurt parents by giving or not giving access to daycare or childcare on campus. What I recommend in this essay, finding a topic, and the invention number 3 will help you find that topic that's right. I would suggest finding a topic that has some personal element to you. This isn't a requirement, but last semester I noticed that the best essays and the most interesting ones were those where somebody, had some personal idea. So like the student who wrote about parents and finding daycare. A lot of the issues she was having in her first semester of college was because she was a mom and she had a hard time finding daycare for her child. And so sometimes she would bring her to school for conferences, and that was part of her struggle. And so she related to that paper, and she related to this. Now, sometimes you can find an argument that you're way too biased about, and it becomes a rant. So be careful with that. But, find something that you're interested in. Don't just write about something to get the grade. I'm giving you the freedom to pick a topic of your own because I don't want this to be extremely boring. I want you to learn something, and I want you to be interested in it. Having said that, your topic should not be a binary, and I'm going to talk about more in the video number 5. But a binary is something where you have 2 extreme sides. So up and down, man versus woman, right or wrong, black and white. Those are all 2 sides. Now, of course, you have 2 sides of the binary. For this essay, I want you to try to find the gray area. So these topics down here, I don't necessarily ban. I don't want to say don't write about them. But these topics down here I have as a cautionary tale, because these topics are the ones that are more likely to be written as a binary. So, for example, with abortion, you have pro-life or pro-choice. So, a lot of times those are the 2 arguments. But there are gray areas with that. Gun control, you have the 2 binaries should be all guns or no guns. So, people who believe everybody should have a gun, and people believe that no gun should be around at all. However, there is a middle ground, that gray area, which might be the argument of background checks, or somebody who has committed a violent crime or has been convicted of a violent crime should not be able to have a gun, or should not be having to have a gun for an extended period, or something along those lines. So that's not saying all or nothing. What it is saying is a middle ground. We should have some restrictions, but only if that person has demonstrated violent behavior. Okay, I'm not saying that's my stance, but that would be a gray area stance. Okay, and now all these you can find it. You can write a binary argument about. I'm not saying that other arguments cannot be written a binary argument, but you want to try to find the gray area within your argument. So don't just write one-sided, very extreme argument. Find some middle ground. We also don't want to do is write a positive or negative argument. I see those all the time. It's not really argument, because what those papers do is they just say, here are the positives and here are the negatives of this issue. But that's just basically stating the positive and negatives. It's not making a claim. It's not making an argument of some sort. It's just listing, kind of, which we talked about 5-paragraph essays. You don't want to do that. So another point of this is not a report. You're not just going to plop in your research and then move on. What you're going to be doing is analyzing that research. So don't do what I call a data dump, which is just putting all the information in your paper and then moving on. That's also called a literature review if it's done right. So you want to set up your argument, whatever that is, and then you use the research as evidence to support your claim, support your argument. So this does not mean putting a quote in your paper and then just moving on. Put that quote in your paper and then you yourself use your own writing and your own voice to analyze how and why that quote is being used to support your argument. The essay number 3 example that I'm going to have on Blackboard that you're going to write a little bit about does a really good job of analyzing that information, of not creating a binary, and of not making a 5-paragraph essay. There are some issues with the paper, of course, but those I find are the biggest issues with former students in this paper. I'm not saying you all will have that issue, but that's the biggest issues, the main issues that I found. So the essay I'm going to show you is definitely an essay that is not going to somebody who did those aspects well. So look at that essay as a model. Some other requirements here. Make sure you read this whole assignment sheet because I'm not going over this all the way. You have to find at least 5 outside sources. It's a 5 to 6 page paper. You can find more than that, but you have to have at least 5 sources. So citing them in text and your works cited page. If you forget what that means, go back to the video, to the PowerPoint I have about MLA format from the very beginning of the semester. Make sure your sources are credible. We went over this a little bit before break. So no blogs, no Wikipedia. Please do not quote Wikipedia. So make sure they're credible sources. Make sure you're looking at, JSTOR. I would always recommend looking at JSTOR first and then Google if you can't find anything there, or JSTOR EBSCOhost. There's also ebooks, which are fantastic. Having a claim, binary, a title, be specific with your language, no 5-paragraph essays. You can use personal experience as evidence, and this is why I said earlier that you can find a topic that is a little bit more personal for you. This doesn't mean the whole paper is going to be a narrative, but if you do have a paper that you relate to or you do have personal experience with, the 2 pieces of credibility I find I've talked about before are expertise, so experience, and education. While you need to have the research to back up what you're talking about, so people who have done the education or have experience on your own, if you have an experience, that also could be saying something. It could also be evidence to support a claim. So don't really do more than like a paragraph or 2 of that personal experience. But, my student last semester who's talking about childcare in colleges and universities, she had a paragraph or 2 in her paper that talked about her own experience and struggles with not being able to find childcare. So I had a student who wrote about having about support animals and support dogs. She herself had a support dog, so she used her own experience for a paragraph or 2 to talk about that. This doesn't mean you have to do this. The example essay I have online, definitely they do not have experience within that topic they're writing about, so it's not a requirement. But if you feel like, you are in that category, I'm writing about something that I also have experience with, you can do that. Again, the whole paper should not be a narrative, but you can do that for a paragraph or two. That can help you out a bit. Should have a counter argument. Please watch video number 5 to talk more about that. And also, don't write a 5-paragraph essay. It should be 5 pages, Times New Roman, and all that stuff. Okay, so this is the essay number 3 assignment sheet. You can also look at the invention number 3 assignment sheet. So this is similar to invention number 2, but very much different. So in about a sentence, you should describe your topic. Okay, so in about a sentence, you should be describing what it is you're writing about. Okay, what is your topic? So if you're writing about climate change, you write about climate change. If you're writing about service dogs, you write about service dogs. Just in about a sentence, tell me what it is you're interested in writing about. Then in about a paragraph, describe the problem that caused you to write about this topic that you're interested in. If you remember the rhetorical analysis PowerPoint, I talked about this term called exigence, or the problem that caused you to write. This is that rhetorical exigence. What happened? So climate change, maybe something happened, forest fires or something like that's going on. So what is the problem that caused you to write about this topic? Step number 3, in about a paragraph, explain what you know about this problem already. Before you do any research, you should be doing this step. What do you know? Okay, what do you know already? And I ask this because I don't want you to be writing about a topic that you already know everything about, that you wrote about last semester or last year. You're already an expert, and you're not learning anything. I want you to learn something from this essay, from this project. So you should find a topic that you know a little bit about, but you don't necessarily know everything about. So what do you know about this problem already? Step number 4 is in a paragraph, what do you know about this problem? What questions do you have? What do you wish to know about the problem? What do you want to start researching? If you do this and you have a ton for step 3, but barely nothing in step 4, you should find a different topic or a different angle of the same topic. Okay? You should have a little bit of step 3 and a little bit of step 4. And that's what I'll comment on. And step 5, similar to invention number 2, this is a thesis question. What do you want to know through research? You don't have to answer this one. In invention 2, I had you answer the question. But step 5 for invention number 3 is going to be more about what do you want to know through research? This is the question that should hopefully guide you into forming your research. Okay, so the answer to this question will be your working thesis question. Okay, that will be your working thesis. And so be curious. I've talked about this throughout the semester. Be a toddler. Ask why all the time. Note that your thesis can change throughout your paper. So if you do research and you find that your thesis was wrong, change it. Listen to the information. Don't ignore the information that you find. That's really, 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 really important. Okay, so your question might change as you do research. Your question might change as you find information. If that's so, that's okay. Change your question. If you're writing your paper and if your analyses and your research, if your thesis changes, change it. Just change the information and your support throughout the paper as well too. Okay, don't go into the topic knowing all the answers. Be curious and find that information, okay? And so I have this a little bit down here too. And also, if this is a binary, I will comment on it. This here is due Wednesday, April 15th. So I have this up here. So this is due Wednesday, April 15th. I will comment on these. And then this is before the rough draft of the first essay. Okay, the first rough draft peer review. And so I'm hoping that I'll comment on these. If you want to turn this in early, feel free to do that as well. But these are kind of just information about the essay number 3 and invention number 3. Of course, this is not everything you need to know. The argument videos, again, videos number 5, part A and B, are going to tell you a lot more information about what you need to know here. So this isn't everything. So watch those videos too. Okay, please email me if you have any questions, and take care.